And remember, all of these are body-based instances, body-based problems. So they should just be disregarded. If you're not having, if you're having trouble sleeping or whatever, understand that that's happening inside the illusion. And yes,
I
okay,
know.
go
It's
ahead.
just, it just kills the body. You know what I mean? It's, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you try to get sleep, maybe go to a doctor and try to find out about the sleep, but just know that it's not affecting you at all.
yeah.
That's the thing. I remember, as a matter of fact, a lady was talking about to Maharaj at the Ramakant Maharaj USA, and she said something about the fact that, oh, she's not getting sleep and this and that. And like Maharaj says, there's no sleep. There's no non-sleep. You don't sleep. The you that you are doesn't sleep. It's continuous, and all these states appear on it. So whatever it is that's causing you not to sleep, just disregard it. It is a passing thing. It can't be forever, because if your body doesn't sleep after some time, it just shuts down. So
Well,
you'll,
I do sleep all day. Like I was up till 7:30 this morning, and then I slept till like 3. And it's like it ruins my day, although I try to just go, okay, this is what it is. But I mean, I do chanting, meditation, reading, everything up until I go to bed. And then once I lay down, it's like, I can be tired as heck and sleep won't come. And then I'll get up and play solitaire on my Kindle for hours. And that's not good either. And I just don't know what to do with the body when it won't let me rest. And I have been to the doctor and I got some pills. I don't like to take pills, but I just wonder, because this has been going on for a couple of years.
yeah, I mean, I, again, it's not a, it's something that's occurring with your body. And
Yeah.
the only thing that you can do with that is like, okay, maybe read at night or go to the doctor or something like that. But it's a passing thing. If it's gone on for years, then definitely I would go and seek some kind of professional, hey, what's happening and why. But as far as spirituality goes, there's no answer for this.
Yeah.
Is it some sort of spiritual excitement that keeps you awake?
I don't know. I've tried everything you can think of, and I chant the 4 bhajans every day, and I'm doing everything I can to have my mind on God. And when I sleep at night, when I get in bed, I'm so happy and in bliss, and it just still doesn't come. So
I've had that problem, and the various sleep aids over the counter and stuff helped me, and plus the doctor gave me a couple of things. But I found that it started up when I didn't do labor, when I wasn't able to work on a job anymore, do physical work. Actually, that was the start of it. I couldn't, my body wouldn't wear it, wouldn't get
yeah, because I'm disabled, so I don't.
Oh
Yeah.
So you can't get exercise either, like me.
Yeah, but I do exercise for an hour and a half every day. I just can't figure it out, but just thought I'd mention it. Yeah.
I would just keep continuing being with yourself and self. Do you have books now? And I know from my routine, before I go to bed at night, I bow to the masters, and then I sit and I read a couple of little, not chapters, but whatever the date is of whatever talk it is. I read that, and then I put it away, and then I'm asleep. And that's it.
I can tell you a couple of simple things that help me is I put on soft music like wind chimes or ocean waves, soft, not real, very, so you can't
very low.
Hear it that well. And also I count, I do the chanting, I do my mantra, and after each recitation, I count up to either, it doesn't matter if up to 4 or to 10 or whatever, and just keep counting along with each time I say it. And that that works the best, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've tried all the music thing, and
for some reason the counting draws my attention away from my mind.
I was going to say there's also neurolinguistic programming that I did years ago, binaural beats. Binaural beats, if you look them up online, they have like delta, theta, and all this kind of stuff.
I got all those CDs.
Okay.
Nothing works. And then I get to the point, I like silence, so I don't want to hear anything either. My room is pitch black, so there's no lights. But I started getting insomnia from the 4th grade on, and so it's a deep psychological thing, I think. But it just gets worse. But it is what it is.
How many hours of sleep do you get a day? Like, if you rest and so forth.
If I'm up all night and then I sleep 12 to 14 hours after that. So I get enough sleep. It's just that I don't sleep at night. So I'm trying to tell my mind, okay, what's wrong with that? We can deal with that. But can't go anywhere during the day. It's strange.
Then you try. We buy these. It's truly herbal. It's like an herbal tablet. We take 2 of them. Have you tried those?
No, truly herbal. I'll write that down.
Yeah.
Because I take 10 milligrams of melatonin, and
it's got melatonin in it and so forth. And it's just, it really, I find it relaxes me. If I want to sleep late, I take that.
Okay, truly herbal, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we close down, I can go check it and get the name for you. I mean, it's something you can just order online, and
Amazon. Yeah. I keep thinking it's my karma, and I just have to live through it.
No, remember, there's no karma. There's no karma. No karma, no karma. That's a karma.
That's right.
Don't allow the karma.
Okay.
You're formless, and all this is just monkey mind. And don't even think for a moment, oh, it's my karma, my past birth, or anything like this. It is not at all. There's nothing like this.
Right. When I sleep all day, I wake up and I feel guilty, like, oh.
Well, yeah, sleeping all day. Why don't you, just from hearing this, I would say, if it was me and I couldn't sleep at night, and then I fell asleep in the day and I sleep 12 hours during the day, I would continue to stay up during the day and be so tired at night that I would be exhausted and fall asleep. I wouldn't allow myself to sleep during the day. But that's, again, I'm not a doctor and or a psychiatrist or a psychologist or anything. But I do know that karma is a dangerous concept that doesn't exist.
Yes,
because you just have to know yourself in a real sense, and who is karma, how, what, when, what birth is it that you're paying for now, and what is that? It's not. You're not born, you don't die. Accept yourself as self. There's no God, no Brahman, no Paramatma, no master, no karma, no nothing, nothing, nothing. Remove the body, and then whose karma is it? Prior to beingness, prior to mind, ego, intellect, prior to body, prior to all these things, there was no karma for anything, anyone. There is no karma. So get that. That's, these dangerous concepts of, I'm not sleeping because my karma, I'm paying for something or not. No,
Okay.
This physical form is having some troubles, like, we talked about before. It's a 5 elemental body. Maharaj says all the time, 5 elemental body, things are going to go wrong with the 5 elemental body. It's why we have doctors and different people to give us medicines or go to the doctor and say, hey, this is happening. Or, just from what you're speaking about, you say, I sleep 12 hours a day and then I have trouble sleeping at night. But I mean,
well, yeah, I'm caught in a cycle. I understand that.
Then
I feel guilty if I take a pill. I feel guilty. I don't want my mind to get messed up from medication.
But your physical body cannot take not sleeping all night, all day, all night, all day. Eventually, you crash. When you crash, you crash at night. You sleep very well. You'll wake up in the morning, and then you won't want to go to sleep because you're refreshed, and so on and so forth.
give that a try.
Just stay up as long as you humanly possibly can. The body will
It
stop.
feels horrible. I just don't want to be in the body. It just feels horrible. But I'll do it. I'll try that.
One thing to be careful with the sleep aids, even the natural ones too. If at least for me, I might be different than others, but I build up tolerance kind of fast.
Yes.
And I can only use them about once a week, or otherwise
Exactly.
I'll build up tolerance.
Yeah.
That goes for melatonin too. I took it for like 2 months. It worked every night. Then all of a sudden it wasn't working.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for everybody's input.
Yeah, you know, another thing you might try is the Ho'oponopono. To me, that it engages the mind, and there's like the 4 statements. You know, maybe the mantra works the same way, but it's like you just keep on repeating it. And you might use the mala beads, you know,
Yeah.
go through it. And I think it said in the Amrut Laya that I'm reading, you just repeat, I am not the body, I am not the body, 100 times. And, you know, those mala beads have
108. Yeah.
You do it 108 times. And so that might be an interesting thing.
Okay. I'll try that too. Yes.
Of course, if you slept during the daytime, you're not going to fall asleep at night.
I know. Like I said, I'm caught in a cycle. Yeah.
I was reading some I Am That last night. Somebody mentioned something that made me think of it earlier in today's talking. Anyway, he said there's 2 ways you can realize the self or whatever. One is to believe in what I say and have faith in it or trust it, or else the other way is study and other slower methods. But he said the fastest is to just believe what I say, and I thought that was interesting.
Well, impress it in your experience. It's not just belief; it has to be experience. So that you express yourself in experience as to who you are. You know, if somebody, and that's why Master says, you know, take the next step. He takes the next step and the next step. I can sit there and tell you that this water is cold, so very nice and cold. But if you've never drank water and you don't understand cold, and I try to explain the concept of cold 100,000 different ways, but until you actually sip it and taste it, and you say, ah, that's what's cold, then it is, and that's the same with presence, with any of these spiritual terms that are impressed on you, is you have to experience that. How do you experience it? Because what you just said, Keith, you trust and believe. Oh, I'm Brahman. So in the next moment, I act as Brahman, not as this little limited form. So if something happens against this little limited form, I remember I am Brahman. So it doesn't bother me. And the selfless self, I'm continuously staying in touch with my selfless self. I'm inviting the attention of the invisible listener. I feel the presence and I sense the presence. When I'm told that disregard everything that appears on presence and remain with the presence, and that's what I do. And I continue to do that in all things. And the different various activities that are impressing won't impress anymore because I know they're appearing on presence. My not sleeping is appearing on presence. My eating is appearing on presence. Whether I'm eating too much or eating too little, it's appearing on presence. Now, yes, there are things that I can do, like Maharaj says, good thoughts come, then you put those into action. Oh, this thought is useful for me. I shouldn't go to an all-you-can-eat buffet every single solitary day for a 1 week period, because I will gain weight. And maybe I don't care if I gain weight, but if I do it long enough, I gain enough weight, then I see this body growing, then I am unhappy. So I probably want to do everything, like Maharaj says, in moderation. The only thing I don't want to do in moderation is pay attention to myself, the self, to be with you always. But again, it has to be the experience, the living experience. Master has said you are Brahman. Master has said you are formless reality. Now you act in the next moment as if you are formless reality. And how do you do that? When something comes and starts to bother you, just disregard this thing. When the mind says, oh, I'm having trouble with such and such, disregard this thing. Why? Because you are formless reality. All these occurrences are appearing on your spontaneous presence. Your job, your boss, all these things, your body, all are appearing on your spontaneous presence. Therefore, if you remain with your presence, all these things will come and go, and you can remain with that everything is appearing on. Just die, without any form, without any conditions of any kind.
So when you are actually concentrating on the concentrator or whatever, you are in the act of disidentifying. Basically, it's disidentifying could be considered an action. It's not it's more of a thing that you stop doing rather than something you do. But
well, everything that's appearing on your presence right now, you're paying attention to those things, so therefore you give life to them. Instead, you remain with your sense of presence. And we talked about before the quick exercise of close your eyes. And yet, if you stay with your eyes closed long enough, you'll see, like on the screen of mind, different thoughts, different patterns, maybe images, whatever, but yet you're there, you're seeing this. So when these things stop, even for a brief time, then there's nothing on the screen of mind, therefore there's no thoughts flowing. So you're prior to thoughts because you're witnessing them. You're there whether the thoughts are there or not, so you're not mind. Then you come back just a little bit further, and you feel like, oh, there's a void there. There's like just emptiness and space. And so a lot of people will say, well, that's a very scary place for me to be. But the idea is that you're not perceiving that emptiness from the point of view of a mind looking this way. You're perceiving this emptiness from the one who's perceiving the emptiness. Therefore, you're also prior, and this emptiness is appearing on your spontaneous presence. And you remain there. Then when you have thoughts or troubles or anything like that, what? And you open your eyes, but you're still there. There's seeing, and you know that this is just on the screen, and I remain. I remain with a sense of presence. If at all I want to compare, I compare myself to space or sky. Prior to being.
what came to me this week was an old phrase from years and years ago, spiritual poverty. We used to hear that, like in the order that I belong to and so forth, and the whole idea of poverty. And then Meister Eckhart came along with the idea. Well, he was a mystic from the Middle Ages. He was a Dominican, and he finally, I think he was the one that really got it ultimately in terms of what is spiritual poverty. Because I remember when I was, in the religious order, when we first enter, we're looking at each other. Well, you're smoking too many cigarettes, and you're buying too many. you're buying too many Cokes. You're not poor enough. All this kind of stuff. But Bob, like basically this whole thing, about the whole idea of, Siddhar Rameshwara said that there's ego in all four bodies. In all four bodies there's ego, and ego is being something or somebody. And spiritual poverty, I think, ultimately is just that total annihilation of that somebody that's being something, just when it's not there. It's just, because Ranjit said that, ego is ignorance and ego is knowledge too. Basically, or not, and for him, I think when he says knowledge, he means consciousness, or like interchangeable words there. So. It's just the whole thing of just a complete annihilation of that somebody that's there. And, like it's just a process because, there's always, when something goes against it, there's always a rub, And the rub, I guess, is a concept that's getting erased or, it doesn't feel comfortable, you struggle with it. And then, finally, when you, as they say, use discrimination or discernment, you see it, and then you kind of can, get sort of drop it, let it go, and move beyond it. Basically, it's just a whole long process of, it's kind of like getting rubbed out, you might say.
Yeah, I mean, presence. If you just identify with presence, that's spiritual poverty, because there's nothing. Presence, it's formless, so it can't acquire anything. Renunciation becomes absolutely just a non-even thing, because what is there that the formlessness would want? And anytime there's a want or a desire, it's based on a body and a form. I am a form that desires another form. Well, this is just a misidentification. I need to go back and identify myself with this sense of presence. This presence doesn't want anything, because all things it has. All of this is occurring in the bubble of illusion, which is that presence that you are. And there's nothing that you need. And anytime a want or need comes, people will say, oh, who needs this or who wants this? But much better just to sense the presence and, oh yeah, wait a minute, I identify with this sense of presence. And what would this sense of presence need with a new car, or with that shirt that I have to have, or with some vacation that looks just amazing, or some credit card offer? What does this sense of presence have to gain or lose by these things? What can be taken away from this sense of presence? Can the sense of presence lose anything? Does it have anything? It's like walking around the whole world with an empty basket that has a hole in the bottom of it that you can put things in, but they're not there. There's nothing there. It's just the activities of the moment of taking something and putting it in the basket just because an action is required in the moment. But you're not storing anything. It's just a natural, what would you want? And anytime a want or a need comes, uh-oh, I'm identifying with something other than the sense of presence, because the sense of presence can't want anything. And renunciation, you don't even have to renounce. You don't even have to kill the ego sense, because the sense of presence is the only thing that I'm identifying with, or the only thing that I say, okay, if at all I want to identify with this presence, space, sky. And then eventually, if I continue to just identify with this presence, the knowledge will come that, oh, I know this presence, therefore I'm the knower of this presence. So I'm even more subtle than this presence, as this presence is, I know this. And yet everything that I used to want to acquire has appeared on this spontaneous presence. Without my presence, I don't really desire anything. This dead body without presence has no wants or needs, nor does it have any family. I think Siddharmeshwara Maharaj says it beautifully. They're going to burn or bury you. They don't keep your dead body around and being like, oh, Andrew was such a great guy, let's keep him at the table. You know, it's like, Andrew's gone. That's it. You know? So even your relatives, when the presence leaves the body's relatives, okay, they burn or bury this body, and that's it. And you are just the formless presence that you always were, because everything is occurring inside you. There's nothing that's not you. Your presence is in everything, because your presence gives life, gives energy, power to the entire kind of formed world that appears in consciousness. And that appears to you, the nothing. All of this that we're describing is the something.
Another word for presence that Ramakant uses is spirit, I think.
Yeah, any word. It's that he says you'll feel it, and you feel it. You use this body as an instrument to feel presence, and then you dip this body as a cup into the nectar of immortality, and just sip this nectar of immortality by remaining constantly with your selfless self, your eyes on the prize of presence. And that's it. Game over. And then, like it said, how do you impress this? You live in this way. You know that all these things are appearing on my spontaneous presence. What am I going to be upset about? What am I going to desire or need or want? I am nothing and happen to be a holder of this body, in which whatever is right in front of this body is done and moved on, and done and moved on, and different scenes are changing. But you know that all of this is in the bubble of illusion, and it all is appearing on your spontaneous presence. So there's no wants, there's no desires, there's no need. Mind isn't going to tell you anything, because after a while, the mind is over here saying, hey, you know, really sunny day, we should go for a picnic or something, or whatever. And you're like, well, wait a minute, you know, like I'm this formless presence. So why do I need to listen to you about opportunities I'm missing, or something I'm not doing that I should be doing, or something like this? I don't need to do this. And mind just goes, I don't know, like dead almost. Like you just unplug the cord. The fan's going. You unplug the cord. Eventually it just kind of very slowly winds down and stops. And that's it.
So there's no reincarnation either, because who would get reincarnated?
Yeah, there's no incarnation. There's no birth and no death. So reincarnation is a concept that appears to no one.
Yeah.
Like there's no birth, there's no death, there's no all you have, that formless presence. It's not going to reincarnate. Now it's going to, like Maharaj has said before, billions of forms are created and destroyed continuously, but no one's born and no one's dying. There's nothing, and all of this is appearing in the something.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to understand how these Dalai Lamas can you know, apparently identify things from previous lives and things like that. I guess it has to do with the subtle body, what they talk about, the subtle body.
No, it's all concepts, but again, like Maharaj has said, when your belief, your belief runs this whole world, you understand? So the you that you are, focused in on a concept through belief, can create whatever you like. It's yeah, it's you're the all powerful everything. So you can believe, and I think Ramakant Maharaj has talked about people who have seen their masters. They see Nisargadatta Maharaj right in front of them. He may even talk to them. But this has appeared on your spontaneous presence, and it's absolutely illusion. But the power of your presence has the ability to project the entire dream world.
Right.
In a dream, you can see. You could have all kinds of stories in your dream, and yet it's in that bubble of the dream, bubble of the illusion, the consciousness that is dream consciousness. And when you wake up, dream consciousness is gone. The consciousness that is in waking consciousness, when you are no longer identified or no longer have this sense of existence, this waking consciousness is gone.
I know Ranjit once said, like, you have the power, you're the creator of the entire world. But then
Exactly.
he said, what's the use of it?
Exactly. So you can get lost in all your concepts. You can believe in saviors and all kinds of stuff. I mean, look at all the world's religions, all our concepts. And all these different various concepts believed in will, like they talk about the stigmata, how the very, I think it was maybe not St. Francis, but some saint who was so totally believing in the crucifixion and the Christ and the manifestation of this, that he had the stigmata on his hands. This is the power of belief for who you are. And that's why imagination, you don't want to use so much imagination. You want to be with the reality, your formless self. Identify with the sense of presence. This is also why a lot of sages will get lost in the world of miracles. Remember, Maharaj has talked about, Nisargadatta Maharaj had talked about too, and Siddharameshwar Maharaj warned everybody, don't play with miracles. Miracles may very well come when you've discarded everything and you're remaining as your source, as presence. Miracles may appear on presence because that's kind of the last-ditch effort of Maya to keep you trapped. The nothingness wants to keep you trapped by giving you the gifts. Hey, in the dream, you have superpowers. You can move the microwave from this side of the counter to that side of the counter. And now you're like, ooh, that's amazing. But now I'm losing touch with the reality because I'm playing in the illusion because I somehow have power in the illusion. But in order to have power in the illusion, I have to have an identification with someone who has power in the illusion, and therefore I'm lost in the illusion.
It reminds me of when I used to be an alcoholic. It seemed like almost miraculous that somehow I was always able to get a little bit of money. It's like Maya was providing me somehow I'd be able to find a drink. It was like almost like it was keeping me there by giving me just enough to get me by or something.
Well, everything is possible in the consciousness, but nothing is real.
And no two people can have the same concepts, really. But I think you could say the whole world lives on a sense of agreeing that it is a certain way, but it can't be a certain way.
Well, nobody is investigating themselves. Everybody's told something and believes it blindly. Like Maharaj has said, you're signing blindly that you're a criminal. They say, hey, you were caught in Washington State robbing this convenience store, and you've never been to Washington State, but you go and they keep beating you. You're a criminal, sign you're a criminal. Finally, you're like, okay, I was in Washington State and I robbed something. I'm a criminal. And that's what you're doing when you say, okay, I'm a body, my name is John, I was born on such and such a date, and I will die. And God forbid, if I don't hustle, I won't be able to eat. It's a dog-eat-dog world. And that's the same as I'm a criminal, I'm a criminal, I'm a criminal. An investigation, like Nisargadatta Maharaj says, this world is held together with such false kind of nothingness that it's easily, upon investigation, discarded, dissolves. You just have to see, and like he said too, there are some parts of your dream that you're enjoying very much. You have to see the dream as dream and discard the whole thing. And that's why if in the dream you have some kind of superpower, you're not going to want to discard that part of the dream. You may discard the part of the dream where things are not so good, but this superpower, this is a pretty cool thing that I want to keep. But you have to discard the whole thing and say, you know what? What's the use of having superpowers in a dream? It's not real.
So I'm glad we do these weekly things. At least sometimes I wonder if we're just repeating the same things, but actually, I think in a sense it's helping me to get used to the idea of not being anything.
Yeah, you're pressing and pressing and pressing and pressing. And hopefully offline, the meditation is occurring. The sense of presence is growing until the sense of presence is no longer, because again, the sense of presence doesn't grow. The illusory concepts that are like kind of covering up presence are dissolving. Therefore, from the mind's point of view, there's an expansion of presence. In reality, presence is just dissolving all the illusory layers, and there's nothing then left except your selfless self.
Whatever that is.
And living like that between this talk and the next talk, the next time something comes up and you're like, oh, I hate this traffic or whatever. Wait a minute. I remain with the sense of presence. All this traffic, my car, my body, everything is appearing on presence. Why am I going to get bothered? You know, Maharaj gives the 6 characteristics of realization because all of those are, you can't fake those if you're somebody. If you're a somebody who believes you can be patient and tolerant, patience and tolerance will wear out because it's somebody who's patient and tolerant. But when there's nobody, I think Osho talked about the boat. If you're out on the lake and a boat bangs into you and there's someone in it, you're going to really ride that person and really bite that person. But if you're out on a lake and a boat bumps into you and it's empty, whom are you going to vent your anger at? Well, it's an empty boat. It's always an empty boat. It's you who have the perception that there's someone here and someone there, and I need to bark and show you my displeasure for your boat hitting mine.
Just like Ramakant said, you're fighting with the air.
Exactly. You're illusory enemies. And you're doing battle in the air with your illusory enemies.
Don Quixote.
There you go.
Yeah, the windmill.
The windmills.
And whenever I am, time is, space is, concepts are, all of this. But when I am not, I just die, then how are concepts? How is time? How is space? There's no time because you're no longer an object in space that perceives time based on other objects in space. You're formlessly aware. Yes, body is here. I can touch body, but body is like clothes, and I wear it loosely, going about doing these various things. The body is not pressuring down that everything I do as a body. I just, whatever is in front of me, I do, and that's it. And the same, different scenes come before you, and you participate and leave it. Now, too, right now, like from now until, just continue. Everything that comes in front, okay, it continues. Because between now and Tuesday, it should be just like, oh, it's Tuesday again, without any kind of just scenes, just scenes, just scenes. Nothing impressing, no memory, no trying to search in the past and project the future, no fear, no desire, no anger, no nothing, 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 nothing.
Maybe it's for Sandra. Maybe it's not resisting having no sleep.
Okay, say that again.
The condition of not finding sleep is maybe it's perpetuated by the resistance to the idea of no sleep.
Right, right.
So if you just say, "Oh, okay, body's not sleeping," okay. I don't know. I'm just trying that out. I don't know.
No, yeah, no, that's very good. That's very good.
So it's like the resistance is what keeps me. There's Trish's phone.
Mhm.
I'm lucky mine didn't ring out. I forgot to turn mine off.
Well, anyway, remember to email your regular mail address.
It is up there.
Okay, good, good.
Can you see it?
If you want Golden Day and Master of Self-Realization, yeah, you put it in the, I wasn't able to, I grabbed it. There it is. Okay, copy. And then I have to make this small. Oh, I can't. Yeah, I can make this small. Okay, and come over here.
Just send me this. Just send me this small book. It's good.
Okay.
Because I'm a very slow reader.
Okay.
I can, if my book doesn't have the feed, I can send it out too, The Master of Self-Realization, if someone wants to read it.
Okay.
I'll look and see if it has feed or not.
I'll look and see if mine has the little feet, indeed. Okay, so I just copied your address and I'll send it out tomorrow when I get to work. I'll put it in the mail and it'll be out.
Yeah, thank you.
And then Kathleen, when she finishes, she'll send to Trish.
Yeah.
The other one.
Send it media mail, of course, because it's much cheaper.
And nobody wanted the Master of Self-Realization without the feet?
I did.
You did. Okay, so if you send me your address,
okay.
I will send it out to you. This is a pretty nice book, actually. It's hardcover, so.
Yeah.
I'd like to read that too.
Well, I'll send it to you, Trish. I'll send it to you after.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll send it to Sandra, and then whoever, just pass it around. And
Okay.
I'm going to read the hardcover book like a little bit every night, so, and probably take on the train, and hopefully then when that's done, then I'll put that book out there too.
Yeah. It's sort of nice reading the Amrit. It's sort of savoring something, you know. So I just read a little, you know, a couple of his talks at night, you know. So there's something about it. It's just very, you're just like, oh, so that's what's going on. You know? It's just, he just lays it all out there. And I'm about a third of the way through it, I'd say.
Good, good, good.
Well, it's like you get it on a different level as you continue to reread it. It goes deeper and deeper.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you know, I can always email the friend I have in France and see if get some more copies of Emerald Lion 3. I mean, I don't mind paying for that. I mean, it's only €8 for a book plus postage, and that's easy. So you 2 or 3 copies. If you all need them, let me know, because I can do that too. And that way you can read it and then reread it and then reread it. I mean, that's
okay. If you want to get me one, I'll go ahead and pay you for it.
Yeah, well, that's all right. I'll check and see about getting it first of all, because I know that they're busy this week. The end of May 31st, May 30th, 31st, and then June 1st. They have some sort of celebration, but. You know, I will look into that for you.
Yeah, because I mean, I could just, you know, send her money sometimes directly, and she could just send it to me directly.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Good,
right.
good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. Okay.
Enjoy your evening.
See y'all.